Hey everybody, Ben Gothard here, and we're doing another Project Egg interview. Today we're talking to Royace Gulley from Florida. How you doing, man?
Good, good.
Good. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. So let's jump right in. And my first question for you is, what is your story?
So I guess like any kid, well, not any kid, but I was always the person that wanted to know more. Was kind of inquisitive. Kind of wanted to know how things were working. I would take apart car parts and anything that I could get a hold of. We used to take TVs apart, my brother and I, and I wanted to know how things work. And I felt like there was a lot of unanswered questions in my life. So I tend to, look and ask and hung around older people and see if they can give me some of that wisdom because I knew I could compress those timelines if I could get some of that wisdom from, older folks. But, you know, in Florida, sometimes the odds are stacked against you, you know. And I think they say in the Bible, a prophet is not wanted in his own town, right? So I do feel that way when you go to a hometown, everybody see you as a certain person, not understanding that you have evolved. So for me, it kind of started with I know I didn't fit, so I had to go do something, and I didn't know what that something was. So for me, I joined the military shortly after I got out of high school. Before I got out of high school, I had an academic scholarship, but with the junior college, it was frustrating because again, I still felt limited at the school. And I felt like my environment wasn't supporting where I wanted to go. Relationships, environment, it's just everything seemed like it was pointing in another direction. And I just basically knew I had to do something. Like I said, I didn't know what that something was, but I did go in the military when I was 19, and it made sense. I went into the military, and it gave me a skill, it gave me a trait, and I found that I was pretty good at IT, information technology. And I became the top of my class. It still, in some perspective, it was holding me back in some cases because one thing the military does is they give you a purpose, but they don't allow you to be creative in that purpose. So you have to do things the way they tell you to do, and how they want you to do it is more prescriptive, not prescriptive. So I think for me, after I left the military, I knew I had to get education because I was fairly talented in what I was doing, but I kept noticing that people would tell me no, and and it took me a long time as an adult to find out what people meant by no. Because in my life, I tell my family and my kids, it's two type of no's in the world. It's no forever and no for right now. And I automatically assumed that those no's were no forever. And because the creativity is kind of stifled and, you know, all these things. But what I did is I did go to school. I went to American Intercontinental University. I finished my bachelor's degree in 27 months. Um, and because I was hungry, I was in a rush. Um, and when I did that, the doors started opening up. But I came into a place when in the technology realm, maybe some people will relate to this, but you need certifications or you need education. And in some cases, certification is more valuable than the education. And so I would go get my education and I negated the certifications. And it was like, you need the certification. I was like, you need to tell me I worked so hard to get my education. And you telling me I need my certifications? I can't believe it. So I took a A plus network plus and security plus. Again, I did the same kind of timeline. I did it all in 3 weeks. And the reason why I did it so fast was I get tired of people telling me no. So now I had to put myself in a position that everyone would tell me yes, and I would tell them no. And I think that was kind of key in understanding how the dynamics of the workforce was. But in knowing all that, I started a company, several years later, and then I was like, maybe this applied to entrepreneurship and business too as well. And what I found out was it does. It does. If you figure out what no people are referring to, and then find out how you get that no translated to a yes, because maybe some certain circumstance that kind of dictate why that no is no. it worked for me. And throughout my time of practicing, I noticed that I had a knack for building relationships. Well, let me say it like this. At first, I was kind of immature in it, and I started by initiating relationships, and that was great. But I wasn't sustaining them, so I had to find a way to sustain the relationships beyond just the initial contact. So I met some wonderful, amazing celebrities, entertainers, and I couldn't find out how to re-engage them. So what I figured out was I needed to learn how to solve a problem for them. And if I solved the problem for them, that I would immediately become their interest, not necessarily me becoming, me being interested in them. And when I did that, it changed the game for me. So when I started businesses and deals and opportunities, I always take that into consideration is if somebody's coming to me, what are they bringing? And it was great because I learned this from Russell Simmons' book. And and I said, "Oh, I might as well try to solve a big problem for them, and then I'll be at the forefront of their mind." And it worked. So that's how I kind of got into business. And then I found out in the early part, I was starting businesses by myself, and you don't know everything as a business owner. And challenge about that is if you try to do things by yourself, you tend to not look at stuff from a different angle or vantage point, and that can be your reckoning. And I've seen that a couple of times. I started a couple of businesses, dissolved a couple of businesses, and because I tried to do everything on my own, what I learned was if I can get a partner based on these two dynamics, whether the partner will be a hard worker or a smart worker. So one has to be a smart worker. Somebody has to understand the logistics and the economy of what you're doing. And the hard worker can be smart, but they have to know how to execute and get the mission to market. So I didn't know that early, but now I know it. And now when I take on partners and people that want to potentially do business with me, I take that consideration. So that's kind of how I got here and how I was able to meet billionaires and A-listers, celebrities, and getting into the entertainment space, working with music, on a net, a hosting web hosting company, as well as some other ventures that some things are still unfolding. But that's how kind of where I got here, right here. And currently, I live in Texas, so I'm from Florida, but I live in Texas, and it's been a great ride, and we're looking to transition to Atlanta. So.
That's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing all that. I really do appreciate it. But I want to dig a little bit into your past. So you said when you were younger, you always wanted to know more. You were very inquisitive. Could you maybe give a little bit more insight on that and how that's helped you with your entrepreneurial endeavors?
Yeah, no problem. So I think when I was young, you're always challenged with the influences of your environment, right? People were selling drugs, people were doing crimes, and I mean, it's just the reality of my dynamics. Um, had some family members that did some stuff that's questionable, and you get invited places, and it was always one of those dynamics of uh, you want to go, or what are you going to do? I'm like, well, in my society, in my environment, it's like you either a follower or a leader, and I always said no. And I didn't realize me saying no that I didn't want to go to those places was me being a leader. But it was kind of relayed to me as being a follower. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. That doesn't make sense to me. Plus, it's getting me out of my comfort zone. Now, I don't mind being uncomfortable, but I want the decision to be mine. And growing up, sometimes your choice as an African American could be taken away from you. And my mom used to say, it's three things that you got, son, and you need to be mindful of it, and I have to take this into consideration with every decision that I make. You're young, you're black, you're male, and those are three strikes counted against you. So you need to find out how to maneuver through those territories. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. And you know, you also were saying that you really had a yearning to figure out how things worked
Yes.
and to really investigate. And so again, maybe you could talk about the importance of having that sort of mindset as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So um, my company is Big Dreamer Media. I always believe in the dream. Um, but sometimes the dream has a, translate into a reality. So sometimes you dream, and sometimes you can feel like your dream is too big, and then sometimes your dream is too small, and sometimes people don't have a sense of what a dream looks like. So for me, I've seen some very impressive things in my life. I've been all over the world. I'm grateful because the military paid for it, but I've also paid my own money to go places too. But as a child, I just couldn't understand how things work. Like, I guess it's some laws of the universe that just can't be broken, and they're laws. You can't actually break them. But I never thought that. I hate to say it like this. I don't want to sound super spiritual, but I never thought they applied to me. I want to see if I can beat them or manipulate them so they're working to my advantage. And I know this sounds kind of crazy. I'll stare at stuff for hours and see if I can move it. I know it sounds really goofy, but I want to know if that's all this stuff applied to me. And to some sense, it does, but it doesn't. So like for me, I've taken alternators apart, engine blocks apart. My grandfather owned a service station, a gas station service station. And when I was growing up, I had access to any kind of car, any kind of part, you name it. Um, if I really wanted to learn the gas business or the oil business or whatever, my grandfather would. He was really old at the time, but he would sit down with me, and I was 5 or 6 or 7, and I just didn't appreciate the conversations I was having with him. I was irritated by you know hanging out with him because maybe I thought he was too old, or maybe I didn't think he was you know we saw eye to eye. He was a blind man. I hate to say it like that, but he was a blind man. And I don't know if we really saw eye to eye on what this relationship was supposed to be. It just was a weird dynamic because he was a great man. He fed the community. He made sure the community had what they needed. He was the only person in that area of Florida that had a gas station as an African American. And I just didn't appreciate it. But but what he had built allowed me to play with certain things. My uncle, which his name is Greg, he used to service and body like the body shop, and I would see him working on cars and repainting them, and I got a chance to experience that, and I got a chance to see that firsthand of how business was operating, how transactions were being made, and then later on, my brother and I used to take the old two TVs apart and it should be electrical current through these two things. And we should grab a screwdriver. I don't know why we didn't die, but we just take a screwdriver and we'll just play with the electricity and watch it go up and down. And that just fascinated us. So, and it's interesting enough, both him and I are in the technology field.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And you said after high school you went right into the military. Am I right?
It was shortly after had a relationship with this certain young lady, and that didn't work out, and I felt a little lost, and I needed to find myself, and in some senses I wanted to get away, and because I wanted to find myself, but I know I needed to get away to do that. That's why I was referring to what I was saying earlier. But yeah, shortly after, because I graduated high school at 16.
Wow. And
I'm
so,
sorry, 17. I graduated high school at 17. So
so
shortly after that, I had to figure it out, and it wasn't easy. But once I figured that I was going in a direction, I could figure it out along the way.
absolutely. And so, when you got into the military, first, how long did you serve for, and what are the things that you learned in the military that has been fundamental to your success as an entrepreneur?
Um, I served a couple years. I got out with an honorable discharge. Um, I still work for the military. My day job, which is something that's tugging at my business, eventually I'm gonna have to make a decision. So I've been working with them essentially since '99, and it's 2017. So you can do the math. Some of the things in the military as a soldier that kind of shaped my decision to do business is I kept watching people conform. It was conforming to whatever people said, and everybody that walked past me that outranked me could tell me what to do. And that's kind of where, in my mind, I said, "Hey, somebody's telling me what to do, and I don't know why, but I need to figure it out. Like I'm trying to take it apart too, and troubleshoot it. And I say, hey, somebody's making a decision at a table in some room, and I need to get at that table or get in that room because I don't like the decision that's being made for me. And in business, that's important because by default, if you don't make a decision, the decision will be made for you. And it's not necessarily a decision that you will be willing to support, but guess what? By default, you will have to. And so I knew I had to get out of that situation because I wasn't getting up fast enough based on my age. And I knew the tides needed to turn. So I did get out of the military. I did my degree fast. I worked in the contracting world for a long period of time, going to Iraq 5 times, Kuwait 5 times, been to the great places. And throughout that time, I was building my relationships. Because one thing I know is that it's really not who you know, but who knows you. And then after a while, that relationship will actually benefit you, especially if you can empower them in some situation that will help them. And by doing that, that kind of led me to, being where I'm at in the government. I'm pretty established in the government. I think I got a good, decent amount of influence. And in my business realm, I've taken on some great partners in conjunction with that, and it's actually been working out for me. So, but the military and all these people that I do business with, well, let me say like 90% of them are people that I'll run into in the military or have some military affiliation. I promise you, I, the discipline, the respect, it's you cannot match it from a military-minded person, this person that's been through it. And these people are some of the hardest working people, and they've got the discipline that's associated with it. So when I choose people that I do business with, I would like to know if they have some kind of military relationship, whether it's a family member or been in the military or understand the military dynamics. Not saying that they all have to be military, because I got some great partners and none of them have never been in the military. But some of the best partners that I have a military foundation.
That's cool. That's really cool, man. And I just wanted to say thank you for everything that you have done in that regard. But then once you got out, um, or maybe that's not the right word, but once you're honorably discharged, you said you started. That's when you started your first company. Could you maybe go into a little bit of that how that the timing of all that worked and give a little bit of insight on that?
Yeah, so I was finishing my degree, so I started my first company around 2005, in 2005 or 4 or 5. I don't know for sure, but I dissolved it. That was the one I was trying to do by myself. And it's funny, and I hope this helps someone. It's like having a girlfriend. When you got a girlfriend, girls come out of the woodworks. It's like you get more girlfriends. So you can get more girlfriends. It's the same thing with business. I was asking for help and I couldn't get it. Now I don't need the help and I'm getting all kinds of help. So I tell you, when I was trying to do it by myself, it was essentially me saying I didn't need the help. I don't know how it works, but maybe the approach that I probably should have took was uh, became a help, and help would have came to me. It would have been attracted to me. At my age or my timing or my mindset at the time, I didn't understand that. And that was my first company, and it failed miserably. And I would say with any entrepreneur, you should learn how to fail first and fast early. If you could fail first, fast, and early, forget that dumb stuff. You, you're not gonna know what winning feels like until you fail. And man, failure hurts, and everybody don't want to go through it, and they don't want to experience it. But I promise you, it's a necessity. And when I failed, it hurt my pockets. I spent a lot of money, and I think I was misguided in my efforts as far as what I was spending my money on. I could have built the house, but never built the foundation, and everything would have crumbled. I could have built the foundation and not established a good framework, of how my structure would be, and still would have failed. I mean, it just I never had, and me and my best friend used to always joke about it. You know what, Royce? You failed so many times, we failed so many times. You should get in business of helping people be in business. And I was like, I think you're right, cause, because I've made my fair share of failures, and I don't regret it. I would tell you, I think if you try to do business, learn where to. You can go get with somebody to help you uh, maneuver around failure. But no, I think you should find a way to fail fast, or get your first buck and learn how to duplicate it. But but that's kind of like what I did right after I got out of the military and got my education. Was I didn't plan to fail. I thought I was going to succeed, but I failed, and I learned a valuable lesson. I learned I was spending money on things that I didn't need to spend money on, but I didn't want to give up. I knew it was for me. I just didn't know how I was going to do it.
Absolutely, and I think that was a really good point that you brought up about failing fast and failing early, because then you'll know how to succeed. And I really do think that more entrepreneurs, at least when they're first starting out, should almost be excited to fail. I mean, it sounds weird, it does, but I mean, it's really important, I think.
I agree.
So could you maybe um, share a little bit about your experience in some of those obstacles that um, you came to, and how you overcame them, how you got around them.
So I did start and dissolve two companies based on the formation. First one was an S corp. Second one was a C corp. And people was telling me I need stock, and my company was not formed to have board members or have. I didn't even know enough people to do that. So I set up a structure based on somebody's advice versus really investigating why would I need that structure. I don't know if I need that layer of protection when it came to my business. So shortly after that, I got to really learn what I really needed to do, and I went to Germany in 2008, and I spent a year over there. And, traveled Germany, worked, enjoyed the culture, the food, and it was a great experience. It was kind of a break from business, and I was working. And then I got back to my hometown, and I worked in the area, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna try it again. And in 2009, I started Big Dreamer Media, and I knew that I wanted to do an LLC. When I did the LLC, it made sense because I could do DBAs, I could do any kind of structure under that umbrella. And if I ever grew big enough, I could translate that to a corporation, probably, or it's incorporated. There. But then it just made sense, and I did it, the tax structure in the country and state that I chose, no sales tax, no state tax, and all this other good stuff. It just made sense after doing investigation from back when I failed. It made sense, and I think the research and the amount of stuff that you study, you should study um, what's really best for you.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you know, I like what you brought up about investigating and figuring it out for yourself, and it kind of comes back to the idea of um, needing education in some way, shape, or form, and I really do think that entrepreneurs we need to educate ourselves, and we need to constantly educate ourselves. So maybe you could point to some books, or let's stick with books that have really been impactful to your entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, yeah. So let me add something to the what we just said. I didn't mention this, but this is way worth way more than um, books. Well, it's a combination. Um, Role models or mentors, whether contemporary, living, or deceased. Books are a great way to do it. Some living contemporary role models could potentially give you a live experiment based on a case study. But as far as books, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason. I just read an awesome book from Everything You Want by Derek Sivers. the guy that started CD Baby. And the great thing about that book, I want to talk about that book because that book helped me clear my plate. And the great thing about it, he says, you get opportunities all the time on ideas or business, potential business. He said he judges everything based on two dynamics. And I'm trying to adopt this, and it's either hell yeah or no. And I put that every decision that I make now, I keep that it rings in my mind, hell yeah or no. And then I heard older gentleman, I was talking to him on the phone yesterday. This guy's 65 million year old multi-million. He's probably worth like $150 million. I'm talking to him on the phone like 2 hours. And I told him the same thing. He said, okay, so Royce, I like what you're saying. So it's either hell yeah or hell no. I was like, okay, I like that one better. It's either hell yeah or hell no. And but Derek, although you cannot contact him or reach him, he does respond back to his email. And whether he knows it or not, with my music distribution company, he in that book he shared more than most people would share, and several other books. Who Moved My Cheese, um, Millionaire Next Door. I can name hundreds of books that I've read. Um, I think that's the key. The key is you're going to find sayings and things that's going to mean something to you. All that stuff is important to hear, but where you need to make your money at is execution. And I don't care what you say or do. If you don't read the book, you won't get information. But if you don't take the information and apply it to something, it's just information. I heard that that's like, books are tools, and a person without tools are seemingly nothing. A person with tools are something, but a person with tools and know how to use them are considered useful. So that's, in my opinion, I think if you have the tool and you're the person, if you don't use the tool, what's your purpose? What's your point? What's the point of it all?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you mentioned some really, really powerful books too. I'm actually reading How to Win Friends and Influence People right now. It's funny you mentioned that. Great book. So you at one point earlier in the interview were talking about the importance of building relationships, and it's not, and you said it's not who you know, but it's who knows you. So could you maybe give a little bit of insight on the importance of building relationships, and then maybe give us some value in your take on how to sustain those relationships?
Okay, so I'm gonna give you some tricks, man. I don't know who else gonna see this, but I'll reveal it to you my secret. So I one time, well, let me tell you like this. My best friend, which his name is Robbie, he met a guy. He looks like LL Cool J, and he sees the guy. He says, "Hey, he said, you know what? I'm not gonna ask him does he look like LL Cool J because he's gonna probably get offended. He probably heard it 1,000 times. Like maybe somebody says your name a certain way and it irritates you because how when friends influence people will share that with you once you get through it. The power of a person's own name. So it's the same thing when they look alike. And he sees the guy. He says, "Hey man, how does it feel to look like the guy you know you look like?" And the guy smiles just like you smiling right there. And the guy was like, it's okay. He said, "I know it is." So that was confirmation for my friend, and it was also made that guy's day. So what I think where you can start with starting relationships is if you're not a person that likes to talk. I wasn't like a person that liked to talk. I was a person that no, I need to get my point across or get the information that I was seeking, but I couldn't do it by being quiet. So one time I was going to a conference in Miami. It was a business conference, and it was during All Star Weekend in Miami. It was like the football game was going on. I'm not a big football fan, but I do know who football players are. And get on a plane in Dallas, and I walk past first class, and I see, uh, believe it or not, Deion Sanders. Everybody knows who Deion Sanders is, and if you don't, you just that young. So I walk past he's in first class. I'm at the back of the plane, and and this is in my early stage of trying to be me. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna find a way to strike up a conversation with him. But I'm gonna think about what my friend Robbie said, and I'm gonna ask him in a way that he's never heard before. And I said, I gotta figure out a question. So the whole ride, I'm figuring out a question that I can ask this guy that's original, that he had never heard, and I can crack that nut for lack of better words. So we land, and now granted, I'm the last seat on the plane. I do that on purpose because I'm working on my patience. And everybody get off the plane. I'm still trying to be patient, but I gotta I gotta get to the carousel so I can ask him this question that I formulated. And I'm walking so fast, my shins are burning because I'm trying to get there, but not look crazy. You know, I don't want to look like a stalker or a fan or something like that. And get down to the carousel, and there's a guy holding a sign up, NFL. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stand next to that. You know what I'm saying? So I stand next to the guy and I talk to him, say, hey man, how are you doing? And it's I'm good, you know. I say, who you here to pick up? Well, I can't tell you that. I said, well, I'll tell you who you here to pick up. Deion Sanders. How'd you know that? I said, because he was on my plane. He said, that's cool. I said, so, you know, I get to start small talking with you. I said, how do you like working for the NFL? And is it a good company? And, you know, just keeping the conversation going until Deion came down the escalator. So Deion comes down the escalator, and he sees me standing next to the guy. He knows this guy really well. He's showing him emotion and, you know, hey, what's going on? You know, blah, blah, blah. And then he look at me, hey, how you doing? You know, and I said, oh, good. You know, I did my research too. So, hey, Deion, can I ask you a question? I said, it's not going to take too much of your time. I said, I know you're from Florida. I'm from Florida. You know, I was on a flight on Dallas coming down here with you guys. I said, I want to ask you a question and tell me what you think. I'll tell you his reaction first, and then I'll tell you the question. His reaction was, wow, huh, nobody's ever asked me that. That's interesting. And he gave me his email. So he said, I won't give out my phone number, but I'll give you my email. And he gave me his email address. So the question, and I don't want to put it into the question was, Deion, I know a lot of people offer you a lot of opportunities. Good, some bad. Some that fit you, some don't fit you. I said, me, I'm a regular guy. How do I get to take advantage of things that you say no to? And he said, huh, nobody's ever asked me that. So it was like, I heard a commercial a long time ago. He said, McDonald's, and it was a Subway commercial. It said, we're number two. We're number two. But there was only number two to McDonald's. And I was like, hey, I don't mind being number two to McDonald's. So if you take that into consideration, it's like, who are you being number two to? And if you can break the ice and get them to talk, then you'll get in the door, not stand in the door, sustain the relationships. That I've never emailed him. So it was just an experiment. It was an experiment I felt like went successful. It taught me that these celebrities are real people, humans. So I met a guy named KO, which I sit on his board for a nonprofit, which is called Bridge the Gap, bridgedagap.org. And I'm helping them with a mobile cell phone service, which is Rock BDG, and it's a partnership with Rock Mobile, which is owned by John DeJorio and Jonathan Kendrick, both billionaires. And how I met KO was, he gonna laugh when he hear this interview. He was at my cousin's house, and I was gonna go buy. I don't think I'm better than anybody, so please don't take it this way. I was going to go buy a foreign car, but he had access to buy them at auctions. And I said, hey, I'm interested in that. And I said, what do you do? He said, well, you know, I do music and I score films, you know, and you know, he's a celebrity, so he didn't really go into details of everything he did. He got a large catalog. He said, well, you know, I do these things. He said, but my passion is kids, and I help out with kids learn through music, through economic problems and social problems. I said, huh. I've been asked to join nonprofits before. I said, let's sit down and talk about that. Because he said something that my mentor said, and I didn't tell him this, but his father told him the same thing is, everybody works on being successful, but you need to work on being significant. And and when first time my mentor said it to me, I was like, I'm not ready for that. I'm working on getting my success right. Then I'll be significant. And I said, the second time he told me, God, I need to wake up because God only tell you things a few times before he starts saying it. And whether people believe God or not, I don't it doesn't matter. I mean, but the universe, if you want to put it that way, will only speak a couple of times, and if you don't answer the mail, it will become silent. And so I said, how did this guy know what my mentor said? It's like somebody's playing with me. So I sat down, looked at his plan, his in progress, and I said, you know what? I really want to know this guy because I'm in the music space, and he's a Grammy. And I did my research. He's a Grammy-nominated producer. Did work with Ti and Jay Z and Rick Ross and you name it. People we know, we hear, he knows them. And they did this program, Bridge the Gap, with Megan Good, and he knows them very well. And I was like, oh, okay, man, that's all. I need to be in that realm because I don't know that space, so I need to understand how to maneuver through it. So I said, what's your main problem that you have? And you need a problem that's solved. What is it? He said, well, my website is hacked. It says the site is hacked. I said, if I could solve that problem, what else would you need? He said, man, I just need that solved because it looks, it doesn't look good for my business. I said, well, let me do some research and let's talk a little later when it's house and we figured it out and I fixed the problem and I've been continuing to help him and now things are really turning into something. And now it came out was like, hey, this guy's a celebrity. Really, why you want to talk to me? And I was like, I know what value I've accumulated throughout the years as far as knowledge and skill and wisdom in my business dealings. I said, but hey, I'll give him my talent and let's see what it turns out to be. And then now man, we talk pretty much every day now. And this guy is famous. This guy is a celebrity. And I would have never planned. I didn't plan for that. That wasn't my plan. My plan was to help him with that problem and see where it went. But it went further than I ever asked. It was. It's more than I set out to do. I was initially just trying to help him solve a problem, and where that went, I didn't know. But when I helped him solve a problem, it's like the value that I gave, it came back to me tenfold. So now, you know, I hear this from people on his team. It's like, hey, Kale always talks about you. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I'm like I'm just Royce, man. I'm just the guy that's trying to do business and meet people and do my part. But we became good friends. Come to find out we're essentially the same age, and I'm a little older than him. But it's sustaining a relationship is constantly finding out. Okay, let me say it like this: I'm married, and in order to keep a good, healthy marriage, it's the same thing as a business relationship. Because when you're in a relationship with business, you're basically in a marriage. Is if I don't, if I love you more than you love me, we'll never fall out of love. And then sometimes that role, male loves the woman more, and the woman loves the man more. So it just got to be. No one can at one time can fall out of love with each other. I think same thing with businesses. No one person at one time can lose the perspective that you initially started with.
Absolutely,
Does that make
absolutely.
sense?
Yeah, and it's a great story, man. Um, what you're saying about like always putting in, you gotta keep putting in the work and sustain that relationship. I really think that you're absolutely right, and it is important to keep putting in that work to keep making sure that you're still in love business wise, right? Um, but I also think it's cool how what started off as you networking and meeting people and going at it more from a business perspective, you guys actually became really good friends after that. I think that's one of the coolest parts of business is not only the things that you can accomplish, but it's the people that you meet and the friends that you make and the impact that you have. My grandpa, he used to work for an oil company back here in New Orleans, and one of his best clients, he was a salesman. One of his best clients um, was the head of a big company and one of their biggest buyers. But they started doing business when my grandpa was like 30 or 40 years old, and they were friends until till the day that they passed. And you know, it was cool to you know, see that and to hear stories about that. And what you said just kind of reminded me of that. So you know, thank you for that. Um, but you know, so we talked a little bit about your past. I want to talk briefly about what you're doing right now. So maybe you could just tell us all the businesses you're running, and what you're involved with, and where your focus is.
And so my main focus right now is three things. Well, three things, but they kind of connect with some other things. So the main one right now is netcloudspace.com. That's my web hosting company. I built I built it with a brilliant guy named Demetrius Hope. Guy's awesome. Very smart individual. We complement each other. We always wanted to do something together. We actually started out fixing iPhones. Well, actually, he was doing it before me, talking about fixing iPhones and devices, and we was making a ton of money doing it. And then we said it's got to be a better way because we're doing direct to customer interaction. When we know that the technology space that we already work with in the military, in the government, we know that. So why can't we leverage it? And kind of find out he was trying to initialize at one point in time, and he fixed a problem for a major company. This company was making like $14 million a year. Right? And he fixed the problem, and then he got employed. And I was like, hey, man, you just sidetracked what we was trying to do. And so I was like, I guess we have to put it on the back burner. That company got bought out, and then we was able to focus on our business. And it's been working crazy. We just added some services recently, VPS services. We knew when we first started it that was the way to go. And we had a certain budget to start our business. And we said, we'll get to it. And we get to it one day. Then recently, when a client of ours was like, "Hey, you guys gonna do VPS?" We forgot about that. Let's look at that again. And then we spun it up and built it, and we just keep getting people to sign up for it. And I'm like, "Hey," I said, "Demetrius, we should have did this in the beginning." He said, "Royce, I agree with you." He said, "But you know that I know we wasn't ready yet." And I said, "I know." And that's my main focus is we're about to start marketing heavy on that because we do believe in the customer. The customer is everything, and without them, who are we? And that was our point. We said we're going to do something that's going to benefit them, and at the end of the day, we'll get more customers. We don't care if we get a whole bunch of customers. We want quality people, and when we get the quality people, we'll figure it out from there because we know what we got, we know what we can do, and that's what we're going to do. So that's the main one. The second one is like I told you about Derek Sealer's City Baby. I was already making money from distribution. I have friends and I think it's probably like a story that everybody always says, like, yeah, you start your business in the garage. The business started in the garage and I hate it. And nobody believes me. They think it's a joke, but it's literally I got service stacks in my garage. And built them and I can show you pictures. I can show you when I was building it, but it was so exciting that my technology kind of bridged to the digital realm of music and was creating content, was doing this, and was making money from digital distribution. But we come to find out that they were stealing money from us. They would kill our account and they would keep the money. And it turned out to be thousands of dollars. And I said, this can't be right. I mean, I signed up for the platform, I paid for it, and these guys will basically steal my money. So who regulates that? That's unfortunate because one, I don't know how much I'm really making on these platforms because they don't share it, and it feels a little disingenuous, right? So you're like, how much am I really making? And they got little scales and breakdowns, and I'm like, this don't sound right, this don't look right. And when they stole money from me, I always take things apart, like we talked before. I said, it's got to be a better way. So what I did is I took the money that I made from those instances for my digital distribution and distributing my friends and family music, which is crazy because I don't advertise it, but my family and friends know what I do. And they come to me and say, hey, I got a song I want to put on the radio. I want to do this. I got a song I want to put on the digital store so I can make money with it. and they just give it to me, and I distribute it for them, and I take a percentage. So I said, I gotta figure out a way to get my people more money and myself more money and make it more reliable. So I wanted to know what the majors was doing. So like people like Atlantic, Warner, you name it. I mean, yeah, Sony. And what I did is I couldn't figure this out. This was the hardest thing to find out because it's like a under it's so under the radar. Like it's an underworld of secrets. People wanting to share. It's money, right? So and it's not tiny money. It's big money. Nobody wants to share that with you. It is a inner circle, inner circle. So I digged around, and talking with people on LinkedIn, and just adding who's who, and finally, re-engaging, and then finally, a guy's like, "Hey, yeah, I'm a programmer for Sony Music," and I was like, "So, how do I get a deal with them? How do I get a distribution deal with them?" He said, "Oh, no problem. I'll just give you such and such phone number." Call her. It took like a month or two to do it. And I got a music distribution deal. I had to show a significant amount of money to get it done from earnest from music. And and I finally got it, and I posted it on my Facebook, and everybody and their mama was like, "Hey, what's this mean?" I was like, "Well, I already was distributing, but now I get to distribute on a bigger platform, on another realm, and I got total control. It doesn't cost me money to distribute anymore." What? Hey, I need you to help me out. And so I get phone calls literally every day about it, and it kind of confirms that I know I'm going in the right direction because I'm making money from it, and I'm not even trying. With little to no effort. Like I'm I can't explain it. Like if you know you're doing what you're supposed to do, it's gonna come. Like it just comes. I can't. I don't know how to verbalize this. It just keeps coming. It keeps confirming. It's a reaffirming, confirming situation. It's just over and over and over again. And so what I did also with my music business is I partnered with a guy named Martin Crosby. He owned a company called Clockwise. He had a gang of sync licenses placed on TV, film, and you would not believe that from Kardashians to America's Got Talent to it's the who's who of things that you know on TV. Pimp My Ride, which is not on some of these shows are not on, but he had Bad Girls Club. He had all these music placed on there, and he's like, yeah, music licensing is this, is that. So he taught me that business. I was already making money on distribution, and then I went to a couple conferences and met some music supervisors, and I said, hey, I think this would complement music distribution because why wouldn't an artist just put music on a digital store or sell a physical distribution? I said, but why won't we try to get them placed on film, TV, games, movies? It doesn't matter, or even commercials. Why can't we just see if we can get it placed? Did it, and now it's a complete package. And I'm like, wow, this is what I should have been doing. I should be coming to Walmart, the music realm. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna build me a platform, kind of like CD Baby or TuneCore or whoever, and we'll offer all these services. Not services that people already have. I'm talking about services that artists need but don't know they need, and they know they got questions but they don't really have answers. So I also partner with a guy named Rafael Capone. He owns a company called Soul Sound Studios in Atlanta. I invested in him in probably about 4 or 5 years ago in this lounge called Atlanta Sky Lounge. I'm a part owner of that. That's the only thing I'm a part owner of this business. And the great thing about that, and this is probably a nugget, right? For him, he's a studio and a multifaceted facility, and he's got Grammy nominations and all that good stuff in his brand. But for him, I had to buy my way to the entertainment business, and I may not ever see my return on investment, which I'm cool with. But the conversations that I've had with him, I've learned more about the music business than anybody would ever tell me without paying for it. So I essentially paid my way into the business, and that's what I was saying about mentors earlier. Is sometimes you have to pay for your mentor's time to get his attention. And when you get his attention, it will compress your timeline because you wouldn't have to go through the things that other people have to go through. So those are the main things that I'm doing. I try not, like I said, hell yeah, hell no. I tend to not pick up any new projects because those are enough for me. I do like hearing what people have going on, and I will coach and guide and consult with them. But I don't think it's beneficial to pile it on, so to speak, more great opportunities that may not be great for me.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So, I do wanna thank you very much for jumping on the interview. I think, I definitely think you provided a lot of value, and everything that all the businesses and whatnot. I'm actually gonna put links down to them in the description below, so everybody that's listening can go check out everything that Royce is doing and connect with them there. But Royce, I do wanna thank you very much for your time, and I really do appreciate you coming on. And to everybody that's listening, I want to say thank you because y'all are the reason that we do it. You make it all worth it. And if this interview can help just one person, just make a difference in at least one person's life, then then I'm happy, and that makes it all worth it for me. So thank you very much. Um, so everybody, this has been another Project Egg interview, and today we've been talking to Royace Gulley from Florida. Take care now.